Lenovo IdeaPad 3i15 Review. You won't find Lenovo's ThinkPad X1 Carbon on the company's website. The business notebook, not to be conflated with the ThinkPad Gaming X, is a consumer model offered at retail. We've also spotted the 13.3-inch version priced between $829.99 and $979.99, with a 1TB hard disk drive and an Intel Core i7 processor. Although it lacks the high-end specs of our top pick, the ThinkPad X1 Carbon offers excellent performance and a premium design for a price that's much lower than what you'd pay for a similar system. And if you're willing to sacrifice a little portability for more power, the X1 Carbon can run for hours without needing to be plugged into an outlet. Don't expect a sleek metal or magnesium chassis from the IdeaPad 3i, instead, you'll get a slab of Arctic gray plastic that measures 0.78 by 14 by 9.3 inches and weighs 3.6 pounds. It's not quite as slim as the similarly sized Acer Aspire 5, but it's lighter. You'll definitely notice some flex when you grab the edges of the display or press down on the keys, so don't pick up the IdeaPad 3i unless you're willing to be careful with it. Our test system consists of an Intel Core i5 CPU, 8GB of RAM, a 1TB HDD, and a 128GB SSD. It runs Windows 10 Enterprise x64 Edition. Wireless connectivity is handled by a Realtek 800 2.11 acres 2x2 Wi-Fi adapter. Bounded by thick bezels is a 1920 by 1080 non-touchscreen. Its camera doesn't include facial recognition, but its fingerprint scanner serves double duty as a password entry device. Pre-installed Lenovo Vantage software includes an assortment of maintenance tasks, a selection of cooling battery settings, Wi-Fi security, blue light reduction, and $29.99 yearly subscription services. A McAfee Live Safe trial is the sole bloatware. On the left side of the computer are a USB 3.2 Type-A connector, an HDMI output, an audio jack, a power plug, and a sliding shutter that blocks the camera lens from prying eyes. On the right side is an SD memory slot and a USB 2 Type-A connector. With its price tag, the IdeaPad 3i7 turns on when you open the laptop's cover rather than wait for you to push the power button. It has a 720p web camera, which captures reasonably good photos under normal lighting conditions. With sound coming from the laptop's bottom-mounted speakers muffled and hollow even at maximum volume, you can barely make out any overlapping audio. There's no bass either. Dolby Audio software has presets for movies, games, voices, and so forth, none of which changes anything. A darkly backlit keyboard has a numeric keypad with media control buttons above it, plus the usual top row functions but without the large, ugly, and uncomfortable arrow row. It features smaller, better placed escape and deletes buttons, and the cursors are arranged in an inverted D shape instead of the usual layout. There aren't any dedicated home, and page up, and page down keys, but you can map them to the arrow keys or the number pad by pressing FN plus arrow keys or FN plus number pad respectively. The keyboard feels fairly quiet with good feedback, not too noisy with decent tactile response. The trackpad doesn't feel particularly large, but it moves smoothly and clicks well, with a slightly stiffer click than most laptops. With an average pixel density of 207p, the screen has good sharpness but not quite enough for comfortable viewing. However, it is bright enough to be used outside. The colors on the display aren't quite as vibrant as they could be, but they're pretty good for an IPS panel. The contrast ratio is high enough for most people, and viewing angles are decent. The brightness is sufficient, and there's no noticeable pixelization around the edges of the text.